Chapter 2, No School? No Way. A lot of things can make it tough for kids to get to school, from long distances to weather to natural disasters. But an even bigger hurdle than these physical barriers is one you can't see: people's attitudes. In some cases, people's beliefs keep a specific group of kids out of school, whether it's girls or kids of a certain background or statutes. In other cases, kids don't get the chance to go to school because no one seems to care if they make it or not. They slip through the cracks because they can't afford to pay for school, or they don't have a home address, or aren't citizens of the country. But there are schools and students trying to break down these barriers. They're embracing the idea that every kid has a right to school, and they're finding inspiring ways to make it happen. Out of sight, out of mind. You know the expression, out of sight, out of mind? People sometimes use it to explain why they've forgotten something. Sadly, that expression can be used just as easily for people as it is for homework or keys. It's why some people fall through the cracks and no one seems to notice. This is what happened to an entire village of people in southwest China. The village, called Dongzhang, is made up of Miao people, who are one of China's ethnic minority groups. They lived in the most complete isolation in the mountains, and they were all but forgotten by China's government. The families struggled to run a village school by themselves. It was almost impossible to get teachers to move to Dongzhang, where there was no electricity, running water, or heat. There was almost no money either. The school had one teacher, offered only first and second grades, and had few books or supplies. Students could barely read and write by the time they finished school. Here's a fact box. Most of the kids who miss out on primary school around the world live in rural areas. School in a cave. Dongzhang and its school were a bit unusual. Both the village and the school were inside a cave. The villagers are the last known people in China to live year-round in a cave. Into the spotlight. That's what caught the attention of a television producer who featured them on a show in China. As soon as it aired, things began to change for Dongzhang. Viewers were amused by the villagers and were impressed by the kids' eagerness to learn. They wanted to give the children the chance. Volunteers came to teach, and people across China began donating money, food, desks, art supplies, sports equipment, musical instruments, and other school supplies. A businessman paid to have electricity lines run up the side of the mountain to the cave. The government began providing the village with free electricity. Soon the school had 8 teachers and went up to 4th grade. There were almost 200 students who came from several neighboring villages. Most walked between 1 and 3 hours each way, but some students lived in residence at the school. A typical day. Aside from the bats and birds flying over students' heads, a school day at Dongzhang Primary School was pretty typical. Students learned art, music, math, and Mandarin, which is China's official language. They are the first in their village to learn Mandarin. The older villagers speak only Miao language, and most cannot read or write. In 2011, all the attention that made the school successful led to its closure. The government said the cave school's publicity was making education in China look backward. It shut down the school and built a new one, more traditional one nearby. Students worked hard before and after school. Most took their family cow out to pasture on the mountainside and returned home late in the evening. Students from other villages who were staying in residence gathered water and firewood to cook their own supper over the fire pits. The cave school had a built-in floor and roof. The walls were made of woven bamboo that grows nearby. The school is gone, but inside the cave there are still houses, livestock pens, and small shops. There are also a few TVs, DVD players, satellite dishes, and cell phones.